So one of the questions that a lot of people ask is, how do composers have these infinite ideas and have so much creativity in their masterpieces? And really, how do they find these innovative ideas without becoming overwhelmed with the infinite possibilities that they can use at their fingertips? And the answer is quite counterintuitive. It is imposing creative restrictions. And throughout all of history and art, there have been numerous examples of famous poets, composers, and writers imposing these arbitrary creative restrictions to get them to be more creative. For example, a lot of poets just use sonnet form or using only iambic pentameter to write their poems. It's the same thing for a lot of classical composers who use established forms such as sonata form, concerto form, theme and variations, etc. And without these creative restrictions, would their music be as good as it is? And that really is the question. Personally, I always struggled with having too many ideas in a piece. I always wanted to write the largest symphonic pieces and then getting as many ideas or melodies as I could and trying to make it seem really, really impressive. But in actuality, it just sounded really disjointed and not cohesive at all. I never really took a basic set of ideas and develop them throughout the piece. I really just tried to get as many ideas as I could through brainstorming and improvising. But learning to just take a small set of ideas, musical ideas, and then developing them as they are is probably the best way to go about it. And that's what really the masters do. It's not about trying to get the most ideas. It's about having a few set of ideas and then developing them further. It's pretty much quality versus quantity. And Eric Whitacre, a famous choral composer, uses what he calls the golden brick. And this golden brick is this one piece it's the musical DNA really of the entire piece, and he has to stick to it no matter what. And if he wants to get more clever compositionally or wants to do something else, he has to remember to, bring it back to the single golden brick idea. Another type of restriction that you can use is musical form, and there are a lot of tried and true forms that famous composers have used throughout the ages. Some of them include ABA, which is also called ternary form. There's sonata form, theme and variations, concerto form, the fugue, and there are multiple other ones that I will link down below if you're interested. But essentially, these tried and true forms are what many of the great composers use to limit their scope to something a little bit more manageable, and essentially it allowed them to be more creative in the long run and create something that was much more cohesive. A subscriber from this very channel reached out to me a few weeks ago and sent me one of his pieces that he produced and composed. It's called Do You Like Opera, and it's essentially a 6-voice fugue / crab canon / palindromic masterpiece, which is just super complex and I can't really explain it myself. But I will link him down below because there are just some really cool techniques that he used. Every single part of it is intertwined and irreversible, and serious mad props to this guy. But yeah, using these tried and true forms in a newer context is something that you can also try. So if you're currently working on a piece and you're just overwhelmed by the infinite number of possibilities you can go down, then I challenge you to try to impose some creative restrictions on yourself as you write it. And really, this will allow you to be more inventive and ultimately more creative when you're writing it. And it's just a proven method that a lot of artists and creatives have used to get past this writer's block syndrome. And like I always say, continue to write every single day, whether you're inspired or not. Maybe 99% of the stuff you're going to write is garbage and you can't use it, but that 1% is usable and is actually going to be beneficial. Many of you might be subscribed to Inside the Score, who's a similar music YouTuber, and he just released this great ebook on 11 rules for composing success, and it has a lot of these ideas on creativity and things like that. So if you're interested, check that out below. So if you're more of a beginner composer and don't know the first steps to becoming a professional composer and what that career looks like, then check out my 5 practical tips for beginning composers video, where I share the tips and advice that I wish that I knew when I was starting out. But anyways, thanks so much for watching and keep writing.